Hard.
Okay, Hugh, so I'm just going to kind of jump right into it. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. So I just want to hear a little bit about you and your business and what industry you're in, because we kind of want to hear a little bit more about the nets being installed on the ground.
Well, I've always been in operations and manufacturing, managing different sizes of factories, mostly in the gems and jewelry industry. And when I first came in contact with the CONTINEWM nets, I was the managing director of one of the Swarovski business units in Thailand. So we had a production running 24/6, so 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, 2 shifts. And as you know, in hotter climates like here in Southeast Asia, air cons or cooling of facilities are at least half of your energy bill. So knowing that half of our close to $40,000 worth of electricity consumption on a monthly basis went for aircon. When I first heard about CONTINEWM and got then the distributor for Thailand to come and do a presentation, we were immediately hooked, even though we didn't have any prior knowledge of what it did. But the presentation was such that it made a lot of sense. So we tested it in one department. That was the busiest one. We had over 100 people in there, and they were split type wall mounted air cons. So it was not a chiller system or anything like that. It was the single types. And they were, of course, installed on one side of the room, so people under there were usually hot, while the people on the other side of the room were too cold, and it was never really a homogeneous flow of air. So we did luckily we already had the electricity meters in each of the departments installed, so we knew the before and after the installation of the CONTINEWM nets. And we must say, they promised between 15 to 25% energy saving. And the highest, we had it running for over a year before we decided, or before we should decide to implement it at the whole factory. And we saw maximum, we had a 22% saving. 1 month was 22%. But for the year, we were averaging about 17, 18% of energy savings. Now, if you can calculate, half of the $40,000 worth of electricity, that's 20,000, 10% on that. The ROI was, I think, below 18 months, I think between 12 and 18 months. So it was really quickly that we got our money back because of just the savings. But what was cool is, we were about 400 staff, and in Thailand, it's required by law to have a full-time nurse on duty. So a nurse's office within the factory, if you have more than 80 workers. So we had, close to 400. So we had a full-time nurse on duty. And what we saw is that the visits by the staff to the nurse's office was reduced in that particular department where we installed the CONTINEWM nets, because it doesn't just help you with your energy saving, it makes a more harmonious flow of air within, and it also helps with PM 2.5, PM 1.0, whatever all the other PMs are. And we could really see that in terms of nurses' office visits by people working in that department. So respiratory illnesses were a lot less than before. People just felt generally better. The air felt cleaner inside the room. So it was all big wins for us in terms of productivity and just climate within the department, as opposed to other departments that did not have it installed. Sadly, before we were planning to implement it at the whole factory, we had some massive transformation in the company, whereby the business unit was closed. So I left Swarovski at the end of 22. But I'm such a believer that now in my new job, I'm working now in Mumbai for another jewelry company in a position of operational excellence. And I've introduced Jatin to the company. And they're now doing tests both here at the factory in Mumbai as well as their factories in Surat. So it's really about seeing the benefit and applying it where it's necessary, and especially knowing that it's proven. And what I really like about them is, even if you're a big supporter and you've heard from a close friend and you trust that friend and feedback has been immense, they still insist on doing a trial period first. Test it out in a certain department, as long as you have the meters and you check the temperature inside, outside for a few weeks, and then they put the nets in place. Then they'll basically let the product speak for itself, and it does.
That's incredible,
Really cool.
Hugh. Yeah, that's really impressive. So you installed it in the factories in Bangkok, and it went really well in terms of employee comfort, in terms of your savings. So it all in all sounds really good. In terms of the installation, was it a quick installation for your AC
That
units,
was
or
the
was it?
best part. That was actually the best part. The production could continue. You didn't have to shut anything down. It just came with a ladder, slid in the nets into the different types of air conditioning. Okay, they might need to cut it to fit for
Okay.
size,
Hmm.
but production was ongoing, and they, without any interruptions to the production, they just installed all the nets, which is really cool. Because many inventions or different types of air cons, you need to shut down the whole factory,
Yeah.
or
Hmm.
takes a long time. They were done. I mean, it was one department, was quite large, a couple of 100 square meters. But yeah, one day they completed the installation and we were up and running. So that's a good thing. It doesn't need maintenance. It's immediately installed, and you
Amazing.
can just
Okay.
keep running your factory, which is fantastic. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty good to know, because we're obviously hotels always looking for, I guess, retrofit solutions or solutions that they can just quickly implement.
They
So
can.
the net sounds like it's exactly that, business as usual. Well, so that's really, really interesting to know. So in terms of your ESG goals, did you have any ESG goals? Did you feel like the Continuum nets contributed to any of your sustainability goals?
Well, at Swarovski,
Yeah.
yes. Here, we're a current employer. While sustainability is, of course, a point on our agenda, it's not as driven as it was at Swarovski. At Swarovski, we had the whole teams, whole departments for sustainability, and there was really top priority. And yeah, we definitely use the nets as part of our story, or our annual sustainability report. We made a reference to that as well, for sure. Because at the
Okay.
end of the day, you save energy, and if energy comes from the grid and it's not renewable, then you can use that. It lowers your carbon footprint. It helps you save energy. It gives you better quality of air, so your workers are happier, more productive. So it's win across the board. There's actually nothing negative I can say about the Continuum nets. I would
No,
suggest
that's
it to anybody that wants to listen, and go for it. It's
yeah.
trusted, it's doable, it's workable, and it gives you the required, what they promise, because many products usually sometimes over-promise something, but for sure not the case here. They say between 15 and 25, and 17-18% on average, with 22% saving in 1 month as our maximum. But I have also close friends in Bangkok that have used it in their factory, and they're averaging 22-23%. So it's really how old are your air cons. But the good thing is, be it an HVAC system or a chiller system or single units, standalone or hanging from the ceiling, it doesn't matter. They will fit it in any type of air conditioning. So it's really very, very flexible as well. I don't think they will ever meet a customer that would say, sorry, for your type of air conditioning, we don't have a solution. They have a solution for
Okay.
everything. So
That's
it's
really good
really,
to know as well.
it's a broad range of uses for their nets in terms of the type of air conditionings that are around.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting to hear, tried and tested solution in somewhere in a, I guess, a humid or hot place like Bangkok, because obviously in the UAE it's also really hot and the temperature is starting to spike and everyone's starting to get really hot. And obviously based on that, all the energy costs are going up. So it's quite nice to know that this is something the nets are, I guess as mentioned, a tried and tested solution to help with all the costs.
Yes.
Yeah, because we're heading into the summer season now for the next 3 or 4 months. So it's always good to know that there is a solution out there for that.
No, for sure. I mean, I can only imagine the energy bills for hotels, especially in
Yeah.
the UAE. I can only imagine what kind of values that is on a monthly basis. So yeah, I mean, 15 to 25% saving on that is, you don't need to be a mathematical genius to calculate the ROI on that, right?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, that's very true. Much. You've really given us on the ground insight, and I'm sure that people are going to take a lot of information away from your testimonial. And it's nice to know that you do recommend this product as well, because it's always really helpful
Absolutely.
and handy for people. Yeah, no, so thank you very much, Hugh. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Yes, and thank you so much for your time.
Have a
Okay,
good one, and don't forget
have a
to
good day.
install your CONTINEWM nets.
Thanks a lot, Hugh.
All right,
Thank
have a good
you.
day.